Okay, let's begin. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining this Rapaport webinar. The situation is quite serious. I'm quite concerned. We've now just seen 3,000 deaths in the United States, and I just hope everybody should be healthy and we should be all careful. And we should, I know myself, I'm speaking to you from Jerusalem, and
Just share your screen, please.
oh, okay, thank you. Let's see how we do that. Okay, thank you. Are we okay now? We shared screens?
Yep.
We're fine.
Okay. I'm speaking to you from Jerusalem, and I haven't been out of the house in about 5-6 days. And the situation is quite worrisome, and it's more important than business. And so I just hope everybody is careful, very careful. I know in our case here, my son is home, and he's actually separated the outside world from the house. So whatever we're doing in the house has become very carefully done, and people take off their shoes, they take off their coats. If I'm touching my face, as you will see, I will use my handkerchief. And, I'm just saying, I wish everybody should be well and be very, very careful. This is an incredible, invisible disease. It's a killer. So I wish everybody well, and I just encourage everybody to be careful. And we have to take on also a relatively serious mode, but we also have to live on, and we also have to move forward. Now, I'm going to speak today in a pretty easygoing manner. I'm sure some people will try to say, but he said this little thing, or he said that little thing. But I'm not going to be careful and afraid to say what I think when it comes to the transparency about the Rapaport price list. So do bear with me and recognize that nothing is exactly perfect, but we're going to really do some serious communicating today. We'll do an introduction. I'll make a couple of statements. We will talk about diamond prices in general, the idea of what kind of prices exist, and then we'll talk about the Rapaport price list. We'll talk about the way forward. We'll mention the boycott issue, and then we'll come to a brief conclusion. First of all, let's try to understand that, and I'll just read this out at the beginning so you understand, but the price reductions of the Rapaport price list on March 20th upset many in the trade. And I'm really sorry about that, but it happened and we had to do it. Unfortunately, a highly volatile global economic crisis set the stage for lower prices with severe declines in early March. Following an optimistic January, diamond prices came under increasing pressure as reports of the coronavirus spread in China. We didn't know what was happening really. We didn't imagine that we'd have to stay in our homes locked up like this. Because it was there, it was China, it wasn't us, it wasn't where we were. We didn't imagine it, but it happened. And then reductions in asking prices continued. Okay, so the markets weren't doing well, and then escalated rapidly as Western countries outside China implemented quarantines and travel restrictions. So we had this thing that hit us. And if you take a look at the S&P 500, you can kind of see what happened here. It was kind of okay. Yeah, something's happening, But out here in February, even as it's like February 19th, even, no big deal. Everybody was, chilling. They didn't get upset or anything. But then a little bang, and then boom. So this S&P 500, and this is the world I'm looking at on March 18th as well. Bang, 24%, 29%, then 24%. So this was a pretty strong shock that really you can, if I put up this graph for a couple of years, you'd notice this. And then if we take a look at Signet also, now Signet had its own problems, but if we look from 2020, so it's about over here. So they were, coming back once they were over 100 even, but then bang, 64% back. Wow. And so there was a shift, there was a change in the world, and there was a change in how people perceive things. And this is where we started to feel the asking prices really started to deteriorate quite a bit while people could still sell, while people could still do business. Now, while there was a consensus that diamond prices, in fact, declined in February and March, there was a strong condemnation from suppliers that the timing of our price reduction was wrong. Now, look, this idea that our price reduction was wrong, I'm going to talk a lot about that later, but the fundamental concept is prices went down. Now, you could argue if prices go down, you should not reflect them. You should deflect them. You should go down later. But I'll make the point later, and I'll make it again now, that delaying a price decline is extremely dangerous, especially when it's sharp, and especially when we see it's moving into a consistent period. Because what would I do? Go down with prices later, say a lot of people. And then, my God, just as the market's coming up, as the Chinese are getting out of bed quite literally, then we're going to take a look and then hit them with a price decrease? No, that cannot happen. And you'll see as I talk here, there's a number of reasons why it made a lot of sense to go down when we did. Now, many suppliers demanded that we recall the March 20th price list out of a desire to prevent a loss of confidence in the trade and maintain the illusion that prices had not declined. Unfortunately, we could not do this because prices had in fact declined. Furthermore, and you'll see this as big as we'll discuss it, discounts have grown to an unprecedented levels that threaten the honesty of the Rapaport price list. And I'll always say this, you got to think about the buyers too, not just the sellers. And therefore, when you're in an environment where the prices have gone down and you don't go down, then I'm going to be looking and saying, well, what are we doing here? Why are we lying to people? And you'll see as I show you some of the data that it was really outstanding, and there's not even a question. Now, the conflict between reporting prices and creating negative market sentiment creates significant problems for the trade and Rapaport. So, don't go down, don't say it. Then the people are going to feel bad. In times of crisis, whenever we report lower prices, we are highly criticized with demands that we do not publish lower prices. And this has been going on for decades. There are 42 years of publishing, and 2008, no, everybody's fighting and yelling. So it's a normal thing. But I want to tell everybody, my heart goes out to people because this is difficult. It's a difficult time. It's difficult not just because the coronavirus, which is the most important thing, but it's difficult because prices going down and how do you feel and what's going to happen and you can't sell and all of that. So it's tough. And I'm sorry that we have to go down, but that's what we have to do. Now, the advent of the coronavirus has created such a crisis. There are calls for a total boycott of Rapaport services. Many in the supply side of the trade have taken the position that Rapaport Group must be destroyed because an independent opinion reporting lower prices cannot be tolerated. And that's just the way it is. The big issue here is transparent competition, transparent pricing, transparency not being good for the industry. And there's a lot of strong feelings about this, emotional feelings even. The question of whether or not a benchmark price list is good or bad for the diamond trade has been debated for the 42 years that we have been publishing the Rapaport price list. It should be clear that our independent benchmark Rapaport price list, and we'll talk about benchmarks soon, must reflect the realities of the market when prices fall, even when such benchmark reporting has a negative impact on market sentiment. And so it should be clear, we can't sit here and tell everybody everything's okay when it's not. And we can't deny being transparent about drops in prices. In any case, there is now a war against Rapaport for reporting lower prices during a time of crisis. So this is very emotional. A lot of people, hundreds, 500, 600 people, very angry, calling for boycotts. It is important to note that many reasonable suppliers recognize the need for the Rapaport price list. And what I mean by that, they also recognize the need for a numeric prices or a benchmark price. But they want greater transparency about the process. They want to know what are our pricing policy guidelines? When do we go down? Why do we go down? And they want to get a reasonable understanding of how decisions are made. Now that's reasonable. And I want to tell you something. I believe these requests are reasonable. And the time has come to make changes in how the Rapaport Group reports diamond prices. While we will not in any way reduce our independence, I mean, we're not going to say to the diamond trade, okay, you guys, you set the prices, you tell the world where prices are. It's not going to happen at all. We will make changes that increase reporting of discounts, define guidelines for price changes, and reschedule the frequency of price lists. So we're going to make some big changes, and we're releasing that now, and we're going to let you know about it right now. So what's going on here? What are we going to do that's different, and why, and how? And we will discuss this in this presentation. So first of all, the Rapaport price list, as we know it, is going to be published monthly. And that's important because of a lot of reasons. I can give you one short one is that we were always afraid, and we'll mention this later, that we change the price list, people may go up or down, then we change it again, and then people anticipate another change. Also the idea that we're chasing our tail. We do something, the trade does something, then we pick up on what the trade does, and then we reinforce it. That needs to stop, and we want to give a breather here in terms of how this monthly price sheets work also for a lot of other reasons we'll talk about. The other thing is we're going to introduce a RapNet trade sheet, and we'll show you what it looks like later, which will be published weekly. So we'll actually show you with this trade sheet what the discounts are for diamonds on RapNet. And that's not going to be Martin Rapaport or the Rapaport group or the Rapaport team's opinion. No opinion, as you'll see, we'll talk about it. That's just where the data sits. That's the second thing. So we're going to give you more information, or give the market more information, but very specific information about different qualities. And it'll also be available online in real time for RapNet members. So they'll be able to see what exactly are those discounts at any given time. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to, and this is really important, we're going to publish the discount ranges so people can understand what's going on. So the initial discount range for A3 specifications, and there's some discussions about whether we should change it because A3 includes the faint fluorescence, but that range would be 30 to 40%. So when we make the Rapaport price list, we're going to take a look and see what are the actual discounts on RapNet, and then we will be in the 30 to 40 range. Now, because of the Corona crisis, we'll go to a 30 to 45 range, which means basically if you're at 40 below, and maybe in the Corona crisis period, 45 below, we won't go down, okay? But if you're 28, 25 below, we'll go up. So people are going to start to understand why does the price sheet move at any times, and you'll be able to watch the market get us to the point where we would be making these changes. Now, it's possible we'll have other Rapaport specifications. There's discussions about doing A2s, which are without faint blue, and if we do that, then we may have different discount ranges. But we will be publishing this. People will be able to see what the ranges are. And then finally, we're going to introduce an advisory board who can come along and they can advise us, and they can have some representation from the trade as well and say, hey, you know, you should have gone up because we believe these diamonds are at a discount level of 25, 28 or something, or you should go down, this is at 48 or 47. So these ideas of changing the world, and what I'm saying is monthly Rapaport price list, trade sheet with discount prices distributed weekly and online in real time, the Rapaport price list ranges, so you know pretty much when and how things are going to happen as prices come down or not, and the idea of an advisory board that will be able to interface with us and give us a lot of input and communicate what they think is going on. Now, the advisory board will not control the price list, but they will have a voice. They will have a very good high level of communication with us about what's going on. Now, excuse me, you can see I'm using my handkerchief here. I'm not supposed to touch my face. Okay. Now we're going to discuss various types of diamond prices and the role of the benchmark prices. We received over 500 emails. What are you doing, Rapaport? Why did you go down? And there's no transaction prices and stuff. And we're going to raise and deal with all these issues. But first of all, we need to understand what kind of prices exist. We will then provide insight into what the Rapaport price list is based on and why and when we change prices. We will also discuss the numerous complaints and suggestions raised by the trade. And there will be a QA period later. You'll have to type it in though. And finally, we will announce, which we've just announced, the important changes to the Rapaport list and how we will be reporting prices in the future. So we'll go over that again. Now, first of all, let's try to understand exactly what's going on with diamond prices. But first of all, it's obvious to people that, well, maybe I'll start with this benchmark numeric prices. What is the Rapaport price list prices? So we would take a look at the market and we would say, what is a price level that's high enough, like an umbrella, and that all prices will in fact fit in under this umbrella? How can we quote a price which is a suggested price? It's a price that it clears all markets. That's how high it is, okay? And it's based on asking prices, Now let's take a look and try to understand, right? So you have asking prices. So a guy offers a diamond, he wants $10,000, right? You have a bid price, the guy offers 9,000. Then you have a transaction price, the person will give you 9,500. Now those prices seem very interesting, but they're highly complicated by the fact that there is bundling. Someone that buys $10 million worth of diamonds in Moscow creates a transaction price. Someone that buys one diamond in a jewelry store on Rodeo Drive, California, as a consumer, also generates a transaction price. But there are different terms and conditions, there are different markets. Someone that buys diamonds on memo pays after 60 days and can return it after Christmas. That's an entirely different price than someone that buys a diamond straight out for a check, bang, let's do a deal. So when we look at transactions prices, there's a very complicated bundling effect. Now, that's fine, because that's where we come in as experts and understand these things. But the fundamental basis of the Rapaport price sheet is asking prices. And not just asking prices, but as you'll see, high asking prices. So when you take a look at this Rapaport price list, the physical piece of paper, and you look at the top, in capital letters it says, approximate high cash asking price indications. We're trying to give the market a benchmark price that everybody can use because it's high enough that everybody can fit under this umbrella. Now, also at the bottom of every price list, prices in this report reflect our opinion of high cash asking prices. Again, it doesn't say transaction prices there. These prices are often discounted and may be substantially higher than actual transaction prices. They usually are. And in some instances, they reflect, you might even say, consumer prices, as you'll see. But that's what they are. So the Rapaport price list is not based on transactions prices. It's based on asking prices, or our opinion of asking prices. And you got to understand here, opinion, the opinion of the Rapaport team, reflect our opinion. Okay, whoops, let me just go back over it. Reflects an opinion. It's not perfect, okay? But it's as good as we can come to using the expertise we have, and we'll discuss that as well. All right. So what are high cash asking prices? So I say they're prices that clear all markets. And not only that, but they're numérière prices. Numérière is an ancient French economic term that refers to the kind of a standard that people trade off using discounts, like people do for the Rapaport price list. Okay, 20 below, 30 below, 10 below, love to see that, 50 below, I don't like that. So the idea that you're relating to some kind of a standard price that you can interface with. So how do we come up with these asking prices? What do we do? Well, first of all, we're looking at everything. So you're talking about expert observations from numerous sources. And we might, for example, every Wednesday at 2 o'clock New Year, 2 o'clock Israel time, excuse me, I'm still coughing. So every Wednesday, 2 o'clock, we'll get on the phone and have a Zoom like this with Hong Kong, Mumbai, Surat, Antwerp, Tel Aviv, Ramat Gan, New York, on the phone together. What did you hear about the market? Who did you talk to? What did you feel what's going on? Now that's very general kind of a survey-ish kind of information. But we'll also look at RapNet and we'll look at other trading networks or other sources of information. We'll communicate directly with traders to say what's going on, how's the market, what's happening. And there's a lot of internet data out there, as you'll soon see. And we'll look at everything we can look at. Now, you'll see that the role of the expert is over here is going to be to try to understand what's happening, to come to this Rapaport asking price or high asking price. And we look at information. So let's say we have someone who sold a diamond, but it's, 90 days, or it's on memo. There's a distinct difference between memo prices and cash trading prices, for example. So we'll try to debundle the information to understand what's happening. We'll apply premiums and discounts to raw data based on our understanding. This is the opinion of the Rapaport team. Our understanding of what does it mean when someone says, I just sold this kind of diamond on memo, okay? Or someone says, I just bought this kind of diamond on memo. We'll be looking at liquidity, and we'll be looking at the number of diamonds in various types and classifications and characteristics. We will be considering also the aspect of the diamond. So medium blues are wildly cheaper than regular stuff. So we use a Rapaport specification A3, which does incorporate fame. We'll be looking at things where people say this has BGM, it doesn't have BGM. there's a lot of things happening about prices that relate to, I would call it on one hand bundling when you're talking about terms and conditions of sale or the market you're in, say a wholesale market like Russia or maybe the Israel Diamond Exchange or the Surat market versus a retail market in Cleveland. So there's differences there, and that's differences in the markets. And then there's differences in the specific quality of the goods. So you might see certain diamonds offered very cheap on RapNet, best prices, and it's a SI1 with a big black imperfection. So you have to consider the goods, at least you talk about them, you understand, and you also have to consider the markets and the terms and conditions of sale. All those things get bundled in when we're looking at transaction prices. But we don't just look at transaction prices, we look at asking prices. We can see what's being offered on various trading networks. And then we do discount analysis as well, which lets us understand how these discounts all work out against each other. That's part of it. And we'll look at characters today, and I'll take you in a little deeper. But a big part of this is the structure. And in some instances, we don't have an asking price for a specific item, often in bigger stones or in different types of situations. And here we start doing extrapolation and stuff like that. For example, let's talk about an FVS1 carat diamond. Well, we do have a lot of data there, but let's think about how we do extrapolation and what that means. So we might look at that FVS1 and say, well, it's definitely going to be cheaper than a EVS1. It's going to be more than a GVS1. It's going to be less than an FEVS2, and it's going to be more than an FVS2. So a diamond price essentially will sit within a range of surrounding prices. And not just that, if it's a 130, it might be different than a 1 carat, 150, it'll be more than a 1 carat, or 90, less than a 1 carat. So you see this idea of what is the asking price range that it can be, what is the structure of diamond prices, it's going to have a lot to do with other things in the neighborhood, so to speak. And in some instances, we'll be applying percentages. We'll say, well, you don't see the price for a 4 carat or whatever this might be, but we know or we believe that there's a X percentage difference between 3 carats and 4 carats, and there's maybe that discount between 5 carats and 4 carats, and we will estimate. We will use our expertise or our opinion to estimate where would the price for that 4 carat be based on things happening around it. Now, we will be doing differential analysis. What's the difference in color between things, clarity between things, size between things? And we'll also be looking at all these percentage estimations in terms of how is the market treating certain things. And we'll understand that sometimes there's shortages in certain things, we'll be able to identify stuff. So there's quite a bit of things going into the Rapaport high cash asking price price list, or as you would say, the benchmark price. That's not just simply push a button, whatever happens with RapNet or someplace else is here. Now, there are many instances where, in fact, you can communicate such a button. And that's why we talked about the 30 to 40% ranges. So you can have a lot of situations where we have lots of data about the asking prices for a Rapaport specification A3 plus diamond. And then we can take those specifications, we can look at them, we can look at the prices in RapNet, as I'll show you soon, and then we can say, okay, we're clear, we understand where these high cash asking prices are, and we're comfortable, and we can just go ahead without doing a lot of analysis. But the differential analysis is, I must say, very important as to understanding how and where prices fall, and also how they move. Now, it's important to understand that there's a couple of things happening here, okay, when we think about changing prices and what's going on. First of all, there's the trend. Did prices change over a period of time? Now, some people are very upset. They say, what are you doing? How could you go down? There's no transactions now. But when we change a price in the Rapaport price list, we're not looking at what happened today or even this week. We're looking at what happened from the last time we changed prices. How did it move? Where did it go? What's been happening over here? And a lot of times we're very conservative about changing prices. You know, given what we would like, we'd rather not to. If you understand, 2018, we changed prices 5 times. In 2019, 8 times. And so far in 2020, 20 times, 2 times. So we're not jumping around like crazy people on this Rapaport price list or this benchmark price. And we understand that it's okay because people do have relational discounts and different people look at their stone, they have this discount, different markets, like I explained earlier. There's all these bundling issues, the markets and stuff. But so we look at these, but we're looking at trends. We're looking at what's happening. And then we're looking at discount levels. Now, it's very important, and discounts are usually important, and we're going to talk about them in the next few moments. Regarding trends, we have to be careful not to lead the market. So we watch, we wait, we see something happen. And then we watch a little bit more. And we wait a little bit more. And we tend to err to the side of caution before we move prices around. And that's created a bit of a problem here, which is one of the reasons we're now going to a more structured, when do we move prices in the 30 to 40% discount range. But in any case, we want to wait to be sure. And we also have to be very careful that when we move prices, we're not making a change in the market, up or down, and then catching that change and considering that to be another change, and therefore we create a cycle of what we call chasing the tail. So, and that's the reason, by the way, we're very happy to start publishing the Rapaport price list once a month, because that'll ease up on that issue, so we're not going to have that chasing of the tail. And you know, a lot of people would come to you and say, well, why don't you just go down, 2% a month, 2% a week, and then why make these big moves? And we've had a lot of experience here in the past where we did go to 2% a month to say, well, take it easy. But then a cycle of expectations of additional downward or upward movement developed, and that became very, very bad. And so we felt that it was much better to go down fewer times, to go down more significantly and just get the change over with, so the change isn't making noise, which creates more change. Now, so that's the idea of trends, and I'll show you some trends here about what's happening. Now, discounts. Discounts start to become very, very important, and to understand the relationship what's happening in the market. Now, how high is too high? You'll see soon that I could not handle this discount level above 50, and there's a question of honesty here, but the discounts are looked at all the time, and you have to maintain credibility and fairness. Now, a lot of people said to me, okay, publish the price sheet once a year and let the discounts take care of everything. But that's not taking into consideration how buyers use the price sheet and how buyers rely on the price sheet to give them information, to give them confidence. And so you can't have a situation where you do a price sheet once a year and then the market goes down, as it has now recently, and everyone knows the market goes down. They watch all these other indicators, the stock market and I don't know, any other market that you would look at today, and they see things have come down and they say, well, what's happening? Oh, nothing, it's okay. All you buyers just make believe everything's okay. Cannot happen. And there's an issue of honesty and credibility and fairness here. And we have to take the buyer's perspective and the buyer's needs. And a lot of the things that I've been looking at from a lot of the people in the trade, and they have sent me all these emails, and we're trying to respond here, and we will raise those issues and be very transparent. As I'm trying my best. But you got to understand things from the buyer's perspective, and a lot of people don't. They just say, well, we're dealers and we use the price sheet, or we're some manufacturers, and it has to meet our needs. But no, the Rapaport price list has to meet the needs of the buyers. It's fundamental to the ability to have a benchmark price that is meaningful to the diamond trade, because it crosses both the buyers and the sellers. It's in the middle, or it's in a place where both people can relate to. Now, why did we change indications in May 20th? And why? Just leave things alone, Mr. Rapaport. Go to sleep. Don't bother everybody. Now everybody's upset about coronavirus, like they should, coronavirus. But what's going on here? So first of all, we looked at asking price trends and not transaction prices. Transaction prices fall all over the place. So people are not making transactions. It's not going to freak us out. And we will look and say, okay, when's the last time we changed prices? And is this change general? Is the thing that's happening in the world now, is it specific? Like sometimes you'd say, okay, there's certain types of goods that are purchased in China, 30-pointers, FESs, stuff like that. And there might be that universe, that world of stuff. And then there might be certain bigger stones that are world. By the way, there was just a very good auction that just took place. A very good Christie's auction online and everything. So things are happening. So there's different markets for different things. And so you might say, okay, this change now only affects this market. But we're looking at something now with this impact of the coronavirus and the impact of the stock market movements and everything. This isn't the little thing in one place. In any case, we look at the trends, and then we look and we see huge, huge discounts. Well, let me tell you, and I'll show you that in a minute. The discounts to the Rapaport price list were unacceptable. They grew and they grew, and they got to the point where we can't work. So let's take a look at a little bit of the changes. Now we look for a long time when we look at changes. This is actually going to beginning of 19, but you can see 17%, this percent, that percent. But you can see prices, in fact, changed a lot over that year, and we didn't actually capture all those declines. Okay, so you'll see that the discount just kept growing. We looked at recent stuff, and this was stuff leading up to the change, and these were stuff that we were able to see clearly on RapNet, but also the asking prices in RapNet were also discounted later when people sold below the prices in RapNet, and that happens a lot of times as well. So we're looking at things and we're seeing, yes, diamond prices are definitely going down. And like I showed you before in that graph of the S&P 5, it ran and then it boom, it ran and then it boom. The boom caught us by surprise a little bit, the industry by surprise a little bit, but that was real stuff happening in real time in a period of like 2 weeks. So what am I looking at? I'm sitting here before this price list is coming out, and I'm saying, what am I seeing? Now, I'm seeing some interesting stuff, and this was from the 14th stuff. First of all, the best prices. Now, we look at best prices because we want to get an idea what's the cheapest price on RapNet for Rapaport specification, A3. And looking, oh my gosh, defaults, 55, 54 below, 53 below, KI ones even. Okay. And then we said, you know what? Those prices, those best prices, maybe it's a crazy stone. Maybe it's something that is not normal. And why don't we look a little bit deeper, a little better? And by the way, when we talked before about all these ideas of linking and having discounts, and if it's better than 30 below, we would go up, and worse than 45 below now, or 40 below, we would go down. So we look now, what we look at, and we've looked at all the time, is we take the 10% of the least expensive stones. So let's say we have, FES2, 300 stones, right? So we would take a look at that and say, okay, take 30 stones, 10% of the 300, and say, what are the 30 best price stones? And what is the average of those 30, of those 10%, those 30 stones? What's the average price? And that gives us a pretty clear indication as to where is the market and where could you actually get a stone. I always say to my guys, what could you put a stone on the table for? What are you confident you could put a stone on the table for? And now, those prices also reached 47, 45, 45. You see these high levels of discount. And this is not a good situation going into the coronavirus scenarios. So it's a team here. It's not just Martin Rapaport. We got really good people here. We're economists. We're looking at data. We're really doing our job. We're looking at this and going, I don't know, man. This looks a little scary. Then we look at the discounts. So this is, by the way, the discounts afterwards. We'll talk about that later. But these are, these are RapNet discounts, 328. So this is 319. This is what I'm seeing the morning that we're about to make the price list change. This is what the world looks like to us. And these are characters where we really do have a lot of data and we can see what's really going on. And 50 below, you guys a minute here. 50 below going to downward moving market. Okay. Don't change prices. Go back to this, let's say. People would say to me, no, go back, don't do this new price, let's go back. And we're at 50 below. And you'll see what that means when we really look at the movements of discounts long term. So this created a lot of problems. And now I look at it, I'm still below, but we're going to come up with the idea of more than 45. So even if we do have to go down, it won't be that much in May, hopefully, but we'll be looking at data. Now, look at Blue Nile. She said, okay, Rapaport, you're crazy. You're giving us these low prices. You're going down. Give me a break. Here's Blue Nile selling to consumers, and they're at 37 or 32 below the Rapaport price indicators. What kind of prices is this? I mean, consumers can go online, they can use a Blue Nile prices, and they can see what's happening. And these are also the same standard. This is not goods with medium blue, strong blue. Like you really see the cheap stuff on Blue Nile. Let's hold it a minute here. What the hell's going on? How high are we? Can we retain this? Can we sustain this? Can we go into a downward moving market and say, oh, diamond prices are moving even lower and we're just taking a smile over here and make believe nothing's happening? And we can't do that. And if you look at the trends of what's going on here, the blue line is the Rapaport price list. And the orange line is the prices that we look on at RapNet prices. And you can see this gap here just growing. And it tends to the point where I look up at the window and I say, am I being honest about what the hell is going on? And then we look at what's been happening in terms of this. Let me just kind of put this on the side. We're looking at this thing. I hope you don't see me on the screen. And we see, look at this stuff. Even in the worst of times, the prices went down to 15, the 14. It went down and came back up, 40, 50. But now, look at this great, and then boom, up here. And look at this curve, this kind of curve going up 74 to 83, 11%. Not sustainable. That means there's an 83% difference between the RapNet prices and the Rapaport price list prices. Too big. I just can't do it. I can't get up in the morning and tell the world my name's on the price list and the guys, it's fine. It isn't fine. And even after we came down, so we came to 78. Okay. Now, does that mean we're going to keep going down? I don't know. I don't think so. We'll see what happens. But at some point, we started looking at goods at 50, 44 below from Blue Nile or 50 below. Well, we start looking at those discounts. We say, excuse me, we have to have a basis for doing this, which is why we're also changing the way we do the price list so that everyone can expect this. They can see when you're more than 45 below, you should know and expect Rapaport to drop the next price list. And when we're discounts are less, you can expect us to go up. So I think that that's also been addressed, this issue of putting ourselves in a certain box, in a certain range of acceptability. And I have to consider this. I cannot ignore the fact of this increase of these discounts and how the whole world is working, because it directly affects our honesty. What are we telling people? What are we communicating to buyers? Where do buyers say, hey, stop telling me all this nonsense? We lose credibility. We lose honesty. It's just not what I can do. Now, there's been a couple of interesting issues that came up. Like, why not publish one price list per year? Because it doesn't take care of buyers. It doesn't take care of consumers. It doesn't care if people say, I'd like to know something about prices. They're not going to be experts on discounts. Why don't you wait to drop the list? Interesting. And everyone is really angry about that. I mean, they are really upset at me. I mean, I am in a situation here where tremendous, blacklists and boycotts and the whole industry is united, What are you crazy? How could you go down? And how could I not? And let me explain to you why I couldn't wait. One reason not to wait is because buyers expect the prices to come down before they buy. Let's assume the Chinese are going to come back into the market, which I really believe and hope they will. And let's assume it'll be in weeks. Now, as they're coming back into the market, bang, let's hit them in the head. Lower the prices, Rapaport. No, I can't do that. It's wrong. Another thing, they're waiting. They're saying, I'm not going to buy until I see the Rapaport prices come down because I know it's going to come down because we know the market got weaker. So they're waiting. I don't want buyers to wait now. We're dying for liquidity. We want people to buy. We want to give them a reason to buy. And anyone that thinks that a buyer doesn't think about it's a good price to buy. I know there's a mentality in the diamond industry where some prices went down, let's hide under our bed. But in fact, buyers, and there are buyers, they want to get a reasonable price. You lower the price, they buy. Another very important factor is, and I know people get very upset at me for saying this, the best time to go down with prices is when there is no market. You're not selling anything. The price went down rapidly. Now, it's a psychological hit, and you feel bad, and I feel bad that you feel bad. I really do. I understand that, and I'm not insensitive to everybody's, concerns. Man, you made me really feel bad, and I hate you, Rapaport, for that. I understand that, and I have empathy. I feel bad for everybody. But we need to have a market. We need to be honest about the prices. So that bad feeling versus the Chinese coming back into the market. Now, if the price went down and no one's trading, or you're not trading, why are you going crazy? What happened to you? Did it cause the market now to change? No, not for you. So yeah, we have to reflect reality, and I must say that I really, really feel bad for people that are in this terrible situation right now. And I'm also in a terrible situation where we got 230 employees all working from home. We have people in India, we don't know what's going to happen with them. We got people in New York who are totally freaked out. 3,000 deaths in the United States right now. New York is like an epicenter. I haven't left my house in 5 or 6 days. All of our teams are working. So, this is not something that, oh, it's some other guy out there. No, I'm in this market as well. So the bottom line here is that when we go down with prices, there's a reason. And I'm sorry, I'm so sorry that it hurts people. But I don't have a choice if we're going to maintain an honest, credible price list or an honest, credible numeraire price or an honest, credible benchmark price. It's not an option and say, oh, market went down, we're not going down. Or we're just going to go back to the other price list. No, I don't care which price list people use. It's fine. Really, whoever is selling a diamond gets to make up his mind or her mind about what the price of the diamond should be. No interference. No, we don't care. We're not pushing. But I got to let the buyers know, hey, guys, this is the Rapaport price list. So you can work with it. You can think of where you go, especially since we're so high. So why drop the prices when there's no transactions? Because we're not looking at the transactions of that week. We're looking at what happened from the last time we moved, and we're looking at asking prices. That's where we are, okay? So it's not a question of, oh, there's no transactions, you can't change the Rapaport price list. You can't freeze the market, everybody. You can't tell the world to stop turning, okay? And the asking prices exist, the market exists. Even now, we talk to people, they are actually selling stuff in the most difficult of times. We went, and so we're doing an auction. And by the way, I have to really speak out against President, what's his name, Van der Linden over here, who says a couple of things. He says, number one is, it is once again claiming, it's Rapaport, it's not preaching to the industry, that the Rapaport group alone knows what is best for the interest of the industry. I'm not knowing what's best. I'm telling you what I think. You can use it, you cannot use it. But don't blame me if people respect the opinion that I give. And I'm not telling everybody what they have to do. I'm allowed to have an opinion. By the way, President Ronnie is going to be too. Let him make his own Ronnie price list. Let him go ahead. Let's see if he has the guts to do it. Okay? But the bottom line isn't me or Ronnie. The bottom line is shipping goods, doing transactions. And that's the reason I brought this up. So we have these goods, right? We're running an auction. And by the way, these ideas that we run auctions and therefore we change prices, it's nonsense. That's not the basis of the prices. First of all, most of the goods that we sell at auctions in Israel give parnassah, give a livelihood to hundreds or so people that they now have what to work on. And what they're doing is they're taking recycled goods from America and they're recutting. And that's great. And those are not A3 spec diamonds, and they're not close to it because they're being recut or refinished or refixed mostly because they're coming from appraisers and recyclers and people reselling diamonds. Mostly, not all, but mostly. So that nonsense, and I do have to also call out on Ronnie one more time when he says, oh, conflict of interest. It's nonsense. It's not true. And I wish people, do this, especially the president, and stuff like that. They should be careful what they say. But in any case, the real issue here is, so we have a price list, and then we have an auction that ends Wednesday. It didn't end before the price movement. And then I can't move the goods, which was really a bummer. And we have these Israelis that are relying on the goods to make their living. And yes, they're still working in Israel even now, some people, legally with following rules, although I think everything's stopping pretty much. So we can't move goods. So we have an issue about that. But even if we can't move goods, there's still people selling goods. So we have to be careful about what we're doing. So why drop the prices, no transactions? And we're based on transaction rates. Now, shouldn't there be no list when in crisis? Now, that's an interesting question. So when there's difficult times, should we just fold up our umbrellas, crawl into our beds, which we have to do now because of the coronavirus, and say, no market? Now, there's a big fundamental difference, maybe between me and a lot of people. I believe diamonds have value. Diamonds are not just a luxury product. They're not like a pair of shoes or some kind of a handbag. Diamonds have to have value. They have to be a store of value in troubled times. So when things get difficult and you can get to somebody who can buy it, there has to be a market. Someone's got to give you money for them. They have value. And if you say to me, no, diamonds are just sparkly things. Okay, screw this business. Let's just sell cubic zirconia. Let's just sell synthetics. We have to have a product that we stand behind. So when there's a crisis, this crisis is different. It's health. There's no access. But my general belief is, in a crisis, is the most important time for people to effectively buy diamonds at cheap prices. I'm not telling you what price it should be, but there has to be liquidity. And I do not think it's right or it's capable of the industry to go, excuse me, times are tough, take your diamond and have a hike. Because if that's true, then we are now destroying one of the main reasons people buy diamonds or how they feel of diamonds, that diamonds are a store of value. In troubled times, when you escape, I don't know, Nazi Germany, or when you're in Iran and there's problems, or whatever you are, okay? Or you're in South Africa, you need to take money out. This story of diamonds being a store of value is fundamental to diamond demand, and I don't think it's correct to walk away from it, and therefore I don't think we should shut down the price list or even the industry when we have these tough times. And I don't think that, we really have to have an industry that can support. And remember, you make money if you buy cheap. You gotta have the guts, you have to have the, I'm not preaching to you, do what you want. But I'm looking at the market and I'm saying market should be able to buy. Some people make more money when prices go down than when they go up. So I mentioned these policies. So what am I doing about this? People are angry, and you'll see boycotts, but what am I actually doing about it? I'm going to review that again. Monthly price lists, not weekly. Everybody can breathe, inhale, exhale, get information from the market, you guys. Communicate with Rapaport, you guys. Let's see what's happening. Give people information for the duration. So we're not turning off the spigot of information about diamond prices. No. We're giving you accurate prices from RapNet about discounts, whatever we have. Bang, there it is. That's going to be coming out. And we're going to use the price that I said, which is the best price, and the 10% best prices, the average of the 10%. Then we're going to give you these ranges so everybody can know why and when is Rapaport likely to change prices. What's going on here? Is this arbitrary? Is this crazy? No. I'm telling you, you're going to see stuff more than 40 below, hopefully when the coronavirus goes away, or even now it's 45. You'll say, oh, it's 46. Rapaport's going to go down. And he probably will go down. It's not perfect because you might have certain price information that we're looking at that's not certain things that are not on RapNet, for example, or certain prices where we're doing our extrapolation and we're doing our expert stuff. But in general, you'll have a pretty consistent basis of understanding where are diamond prices relative to the Rapaport price list at any given day, or certainly once a week, and everybody will get the weekly. And also, when is he likely to move, or when is not me only? When is the price list, the indicator, this benchmark price? When is it likely to move? And what is the kind of a discount level that we should be expecting here? And we're gonna put together an advisory board that can come to us and say, hey, you should know this item is 25 or 30 below. You got to go up here, or then you got to go down here, because now they got a benchmark and now they got a range, which is where it's supposed to be. And they can advise us and they can talk to us about this. So there's going to be a lot of this going on. Now, I see people raising your hands. You'll have to wait. When it's done, we'll have a lot of time to answer questions. So this is what we're doing to react to the difficult times and also to recognize that the world changes. The world changes, and we have to be more transparent if we can be, which is also why I'm doing this talk today. So this is a cornerstone of where we're going. Now, we talked about a trade sheet. What is a trade sheet going to look like? Well, if you're looking at the trade sheet now, so you look at a D flawless, the best price would be something like 8,010. I believe this is live. I think it's pretty much from today or the next few days ago. And then you're at 8658, which is 48 below, which is the average price. Now, as you hear what I'm saying, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a 3% correction in the D flawless on the May 1 price list. Shouldn't freak anybody out. And now if you find something which is like 26 below, subject to the structures or something, we may end up going up. At 30, 31 below, where was 30 to 25 below. Look at these M color I1s, what kind of I1s they are. But basically, we will have a range. We will have people we will talk to. We will look at what's, and you got to understand the prices isn't just Martin Rapaport. It's a team of people who are working as hard as they can, day and night, to make sure that we're getting things correct. So this is going to go out every week to people. And it'll also be available online in real time. Just let you see it a little bit bigger so you can actually see the numbers. So there's quite a bit going on around here. You might see some corrections as we go on, but again, I don't know which date exactly this is. So let's talk about where we're going. So first of all, this is a big change in the thing. We're going to announce it. We'll have a press release tomorrow. We'll let the world know what we're doing. And we also are going to have a Telegram site that we're setting up now that people can discuss and ask questions. We're going to have a robust environment of information. But let's talk about where we're going. So first of all, I believe the number one thing that we need to do as an industry and as Rapaport is to get back into market liquidity so people don't freeze up. A lot of guys are very upset. I wrote this letter. I said, the value of your inventory is replacement cost because you need to know how to trade in downward moving markets. And look, it is very likely that we will be in a downward moving market as the coronavirus continues. But there's no reason to freeze. The example, you buy a diamond for $10,000. It's sitting in your inventory. You can replace it for $7,000, and you get a customer for $8,000. It'd be a crime not to sell the diamond for $8,000 and replace it with the $7,000 stone. Crime. Now, I assume that you know how to make prices above market price because you have customers and you're doing something in this industry. You're adding value somehow. So you continue to add value. Markets may get a little tighter, but I once saw prices go down and people freeze, and I saw a number of very smart Indian companies take over the market, take over all the customers. So just realize when the dust settles, you'll have the same inventory, but you'll be making profit as the market's going down. So I encourage you to do that. But now let's see what we need to do. Shipping problems. I was talking about this auction in Israel. Right? Amazingly difficult because even now I know getting the goods out, moving goods. So we're going to work on that. We're going to work on payment services, escrow services. We have people who have diamonds scattered all over the world. They don't know what to do today. We're going to provide diamond depository services with warehouse receipts so people can trade electronically and understand the world is not going to be the same after the coronavirus. The idea of digital trading, digital buying, digital teaching your kids, digital everything is going to become incredibly there. If we were looking at digital, okay, here's digital, it's going up a little, that's fine. But now, because of the coronavirus, because everybody's at home, because of how we're relying on Zoom, I bought Zoom stock, it went up 50%, crazy. But it's not a continuum change anymore. Now it's like Star Wars, warp speed, boom, bang, new space. And we're going to wake up in a very digital world over here. So being able to trade diamonds without seeing them, being able to, in the old days, the Chinese would buy goods, GIA certified goods, boom, boom, boom. That's going to come back. So we'll be able to get actually better markets in many instances, but we need at Rapaport to figure out how to help people to trade diamonds. We have this trade center that you can use and you can talk to and you can relate to. And we're working from home now, all of our people, but we will get back to offices as soon as possible. And buy request services, which you can say, this is what I need. Can you help me find it? And it's difficult today because, you got a guy and he can't go to the office. It's sitting in his safe in India or Surat or New York or wherever. So we now have to start getting ready for enabling people to find what they want. And you maybe even buy it now and then get delivery later. But that's going to be happening more and more. So that's a big issue, market liquidity. Anything we can do to push and to get market liquidity. And I don't care about the price. I really don't, okay? I'm agnostic. And I'm against the higher price. I'm saying to you, trading, breathing. I think I told you the story about the banker. This banker says to me, he says, listen, he says, as long as my client is breathing, I don't bury them. As long as you're doing business, you're buying and you're selling somehow. Now, I understand you can't buy and sell now. You're at home and you should stay home, and I'm staying home, and that's okay. But when you can, don't freeze. I beg of you. It's vital. In any case, this idea of keeping the business going is important for everybody. Now, diamonds are a store of value in difficult times. I spoke about that. So trading diamonds digitally can lead to greater profits. We should have people in our industry who are capable of buying a diamond if it's dirt cheap. I'm looking at the estate jewelry business, and there's buyers, there's people with money, they're buying every day. They're getting better value now, they're getting better jewelry, they're getting cheaper prices, but they're buying. So if you see a really great deal, and these are the toughest of times, I think, buy low, sell high, Now, not everybody, a lot of people don't have money, but a lot of people do have money. So the idea that we can support a market is very important. And there's going to be millions of consumers interested in selling diamonds, not just buying them. And our industry somehow has gotten into this mindset of we just sell, but we need to buy. We need to buy diamonds from the consumers, from the market. Think about what's happening. All these people are unemployed. The United States is very generous. They gave us two and a half times the monthly salary. So we're okay for 2.5 months. But what's going to happen here when people are unemployed and 2.5 months is over and they want to sell their jewelry because they need money? They got to get back to a normal post-corona life. Is the diamond industry going to turn their back on them and say, no, we're just buying rough at stupid prices? Rough at stupid prices. You know what? I'll just say that one more time. It makes me feel good. Rough at stupid prices. Or are we going to treat our customers correctly and buy from them? So we really need to think about, as an industry, making sure we take care of the consumers and the customers and all the goods coming back into the market. So there's going to be millions of consumers popping up, and really it's going to be a challenge for the industry to think about how do we make money. And they don't care that they're motivated sellers. The issue isn't whether it's a little higher or lower price. The issue is there a market? Is there someone that will give them fair market value for their stuff? What is the RapNet view of the way forward? And I know, and I'm going to talk about all these boycotts and stuff, but we are going gangbusters. We are preparing to be able to service this industry in the most difficult of times. So one thing is that just yesterday, we launched a new version of RapNet that took us, 3 months to do, Sal? The ability to run your business from your home, managing your customers. We have a now built-in CRM, a customer relationship management module, managing your inventory, sharing anything on RapNet via email. So let's say you're sitting here and you see a stone, say one guy, Blue Star, say, it's a good friend, he's still on RapNet, even all the people yelling and screaming, right? So you can then take that stone and ship it to a third party. Not ship it, but I mean, you can send an image of it, you can send the information. So you can share anything. And with God's help, before Passover, which is about a couple of weeks away, we hope, then 3 weeks away, you'll be able to do it on social media as well. Sharing information, sharing other people's stuff. And then buy requests. And I'm mentioning buy requests again very importantly because I believe that we're going to have to service people to find what they need at good prices and really help them. And we're going to be doing that. Even now, there's buy requests on RapNet in the worst of times. So we need to think about those buy requests, and we need to help people to get what they need. Now, the bottom line in a lot of the stories about Rapaport going down with prices, 500 companies pulling diamonds off of RapNet, again, I feel sorry. I feel bad for people because of the difficulties and the need to express themselves emotionally about what is going on here and why did Rapaport go down with the prices. I hope by now you understand I'm not going to sit here at 50, 55 below Rap and have whatever 83% differences. It's not going to happen. So I can justify, at least for myself, which is the most important, is my opinion, of why we go down with prices. But people are upset. And, I understand that. And I feel bad about it. And, but the underlying question is transparent competition, good or bad for the industry, do we support it or not? And that's been my battle for 42 years. And the argument is when things are bad, stop with the transparent competition. And I say, no, have transparent competition, create the market, don't worry about the price level, worry about keeping the patient breathing, worry about keeping trade going. Now, everybody should be free to trade any way they like, anywhere they like, however they like, whenever they like. That is my belief. And so if someone says, hey, I want to trade on this new the World Federation, that's great. I love that because I won't have to take all the heat. Right now, I'm like a heat sink for the diamond industry. Diamonds are a heat sink, right? They absorb heat. So now Rapaport, boom, it's all Rapaport's fault. And your buying prices are going down, you shouldn't tell people that they're going down or whatever. So, and there's also some reasons why you shouldn't go down, and it's very arbitrary, etc. I'm sorry, I got to go down if the market goes down, but it's great. World Federation of Diamond Brokers, if they're able to create a successful trading plan, good. It's a big market. There's room for everybody. They put on their stones on there, put it on RapNet, put them wherever you want to put them. And then they'll also be able to report lower prices or higher prices. They'll be able to see what's going on as well. So anything that supports transparent competition, I am a fan of. It's very lonely where I sit, okay? And, I would be very happy to have other people have my price sheets if you want, do whatever you want to do. I don't see competition as a threat, okay? And as long as it's honest and straight, it's all wonderful. Now, boycotts are not fine, okay? Boycotts, and you say, it's only because it affects you. No, any boycott's not good. I shouldn't say any. If you're boycotting goods from Merengue, it's okay. If you're boycotting goods that people get killed, blood diamonds, it's okay. If you're boycotting diamonds that are involved in money laundering, it's okay. But boycotts against participants in the industry, particularly here, you can have your views, but RapNet is a lifeline for people to get to customers. It was in 2008, it was in 2011. It's a lifeline. It gets your goods out there so you can get customers to buy it in difficult times. So, you don't like it, it's fine, I don't care, but not boycotting it. I'll explain to you what I mean. So I say it is time for the World Federation of Diamond Brokers and IDMA And I want to say specifically, President Ronnie van der Linden of the International Diamond Manufacturers Association, it's time to speak out against boycott campaigns by the members of the organizations. Stop this boycotting stuff. You don't want to stop it, fine. People come back to Rapid anyways because they need to sell their goods. But it's not a healthy thing. And I'll show you what I mean. This is on public telegram. This is the instruction. This is the beginning of the instructions. Remove all your inventory from Rapid. Cancel your subscriptions. Remove all ads from the magazine. No more participating in that's Rapaport auctions or conferences. No more sending goods to GI by using Rapaport services. Any service given by Rapaport Group is banned. Now, for the killer part, to make sure no one will take advantage of the situation, we are all obliged that we will not do business whatsoever with companies that use any of his services. It's not like saying, I don't want to put my goods in Rapaport because I don't feel good. No. I will blacklist anybody who does work with Rapaport. That's not cool. That is not acceptable. And my ears are listening. I don't hear anybody saying this is not correct. I guess the leadership is incapable of kind of doing things, but I don't have a lot of, whatever. I'm not here to talk about the leadership. This is not going to work. It's not acceptable. So I'm asking people who are reasonable, who understand that we are in a position where we have to report lower prices, and who understand that when we do, we're getting whacked and having a lot of problems with these diamond manufacturers. And a lot of them, if there's 1,000 people, 999 are saying they'll go down with prices, and one says, no, I have to tell the truth. Then what I get from Mr. van der Linden over here is, it is once again, and Rapaport is once again claiming, if not preaching to the industry, that Rapaport and Rapaport alone knows what is best, what is in the best interest of the industry. I'm telling you, my friends, I'm not telling you what's best necessarily. I'm giving you my opinion. And I might be different than the other 999 people. And I guess that's why people trust me. But the bottom line is, I'm not perfect, and I'm not telling you alone. I would like to see Mr. Big Mouth Ronnie van der Linden come out with a Ronnie price list. I'd love to see it. I'd like to see what he does when prices come down, and I'd like to see if he's 50% discounting. Okay? But whatever it is, I think you need to understand it's not a war here. It's not going to solve any problems attacking me or attacking that one. We are in this small boat together, and we need to have liquidity. And we need to use trading networks, anybody's trading, all the trading networks. It's a big market, it's a big world, to move diamonds, okay? And if we move diamonds, we'll be fine. If we don't get liquidity and we move diamonds, I believe it could be, God forbid, very difficult. So let's chill out over here. And now I am asking as a personal favor to the people who are listening to this webinar, who are buyers, please do business with RapNet suppliers. These guys are under tremendous pressure today. They're getting calls from hundreds of people, get off of RapNet, get off of RapNet. RapNet is providing transparent pricing. So please try to do business with RapNet members, RapNet suppliers. Through RapNet, without RapNet, please. We give you names if you want. I think of one guy, Blue Star. I think of another guy, Gold Star. These are guys I spoke to, but they're on the network. They're not leaving, okay? And there's about 1,000 people offering goods on RapNet right now. So please, if you're a buyer, I know you're not going to be able to buy right now, but please give your business to RapNet people. It's really important. Now, we're also doing a social media campaign, which we think is important for honest prices. And you go to Rapaport, that's Rapaport.com/ by the way, honest prices. So that needs to be fixed. But you go to Rapaport.com, you can learn about it. So Rapaport.com, honest price is a great place to go to. Now, we're also launching 2 new Telegram accounts. We've already seen some of these negative boycotters trying to jam in there, but don't worry, we'll clean that stuff up. But there's the Rapaport group, which is a Telegram account where we will speak, and it's not for discussion. And then there's a Rapaport discussion. We'll be putting a lot of information there. And people who are not polite or not correct, we're just going to lock them out of there. So visit and learn about the changes we are making, new services we are providing, ask questions about what's going on with the Rapaport price list. Reach out. We all need to reach out. Rapaport Group is here to help you during these difficult times. Our teams are all working from home, and we'll reach out to you, reach out to us, reach out to your suppliers, reach out to your customers. I think that this idea of using Zoom or WhatsApp or Skype it's really important to do stuff. So don't isolate yourselves, but reach out. And I think that's going to be happening more and more. And you're going to see employees, even after coronavirus, they're going to work from home, and they're going to develop this whole other way of doing business. Now, the coronavirus is going to have long-term impact on how we do business. We're just now setting this up. It may not be ready yet, so it's rapaport.com/videos. I gave a speech last Thursday, and I'm talking about the coronavirus and how dangerous it is and how important it is. And, one of the main things you got to think about, I didn't see it here yet, but it's the world today isn't about wealth. It's about health. And health is more important than wealth. I think you'll see it in a minute. And then we're going to try to do a webinar next week or not. We're going to start talking about China and where we see the beginning of a new market and the evolution of where things come. Okay, yeah, I did say. These are difficult times, everybody. And the most important thing is to stay safe. And, it's hard and it's weird. And my son is training me that when I go outside, I come in, take off your shoes, take off your coat, really, gloves. You got to really differentiate between your home and the outside world. And you got our families and employees come first. So don't worry about money. God will give you money later. Health is more important than wealth. It's a new value in society, but it is also very personal to each of us as individuals. The world's going digital. So let's all use our time now when you're home hanging out. Learn as much as you can about digital business, inbound marketing, imaging. Look at what's on the web. Check out all kinds of competitors. See how people are actually making money today on the web and shipping with Federal Express. Federal Express is still working, by the way. But, Safe is closed. So, I don't want to make you too crazy, but start thinking about what are you going to do when they open the doors? What are you going to do when we'll be able to, leave our homes? The coronavirus will pass, but the digital opportunities will become ever more important. So what we're seeing now is the future. And it's now by necessity. Necessity is the mother of invention, but those inventions are going to remain. Now, I know a lot of people in the trade are upset and they're very angry, and I'm sorry about that. I really am. And I wish that I was in another business sometimes, but I got to publish prices, and that's what I've been doing, and that's what people pay me for. And so it's kind of sad, and I am sorry. I really am. I'm really sorry about the fact that prices have come down and we report it. And I'm not angry at anybody, even those people that are trying to boycott me and stuff. I understand that it's difficult, and I pray. I really pray for people. I pray for people's health, and I pray for people's, they should be okay, and we should get through this. And during these difficult times, let's find ways to work together. Trying to do these webinars, doing stuff from my home, but let's think about how we can still come together. And some guys say, the greatest thing about this problem with the Rapaport prices is now the industry's united. And I guess, I've united the industry, which is a very good thing. At the same time, let's see if we can work in a bigger way to unite the industry and find ways even to work with Rapaport. And I believe in our industry. I want to make that clear. These are tough times. I've seen even tougher times. Well, I don't know. Health is a personal thing. But I've seen tougher times from a business perspective. And, we've got to support these ethical, transparent, competitive, and efficient markets. To me, it's the only way to go into the future. And we can't clamp down. Now, if you want to clamp down, clamp down. You want to just leave stuff in the safe? That's fine. Everybody can and should do what they want to do. And I'm not preaching to everybody, telling what you have to do, smarter than everybody else. I'm not. It's a marketplace. It's a marketplace of goods. It's a marketplace of ideas. It's a marketplace of people. And so that's fine. Everybody should do what they want to do. And I wish all of us success in what we do, okay? And again, I'm heartbroken in the extent that, here we have lower prices, but trust me that lower prices at this stage is probably a good thing because it'll attract buyers, and that we have to be realistic.